Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Big East Rewind. I am your 7-foot host, Chuck Everson from Villanova University, and my point guard, my buddy, my pal, from Syracuse University, number 23, Sonny Spera. How are you, Sonny?
Chuck, I'm great. Again, another point guard. I love it.
Listen, I anticipated you saying that, Sonny.
Making me feel good. I appreciate it.
2 Wildcats trump 2 point guards. You understand what I'm saying? 2 Wildcats.
No. We're in the back. We got the ball. You got to be nice to us. It's simple as that.
And listen, this guy that's coming on with us today is one of the most decorated players of all time at Villanova. So I'm very excited to sit down and talk with him, and we've gotten pretty close with the guys from the 85 team. We've gotten pretty close with the other championship teams, the players from those teams. And this guy's no exception. So let's dig into it right now. So we have with us today, as I said, the most decorated player in the history of Villanova basketball, was MVP, 2-time national champion. He graduated Nova, which might be the best thing that he's noted for, in 3 years, Sonny, with honors in 3 years. So here he is from the Dallas Mavericks, and now the newest member of the New York Knicks, our pal Jaylen Brunson. How are you, Jaylen?
How are you? That's one hell of an introduction. That's
one hell of an introduction. That's that Villanova connection.
That
was
that was awesome. That was
Thank
really
you.
good.
So how are you? How you doing, first of all?
I'm great. I'm doing well. Getting ready for this upcoming year, while still relaxing a little bit, not getting my mind right. So a little bit of both, but I'm in a great place right now. So hopefully I can stay there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you are. I mean, they're making moves in New York and trying to get other guys to help you out a little bit, and hopefully that works out in your favor. I have to ask you. I watched you. I watch you a lot. I watch all the guys that play at Nova. We follow all the guys, all the old heads from the '85 team. Follow all you guys, in the guys in the league and everything like that. Your game took a huge jump this year, and I noticed last year at Summer Jam, just playing in a little scrimmage that you were playing in. I said, man, he's different. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it, Jaylen, but I said this guy's different. He's gotten a little extra quick, a little quicker, a little extra fast step, a little quick step. And in the playoffs, you really stepped up when Luka went down. You put the team on your back for a couple of games there at the end, right?
Yeah. I think when it comes to in the summertime, everyone always asks me what am I going to focus on this summer to improve in my game? And my answer is never one specific thing. It's always how can I get better as a whole? How can I get better? How can I get more consistent as a player?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to work on things. I'm going to do different things, different moves, stuff like that. With my footwork, but it's always just about being more consistent. I think the best players are always the most consistent players. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I think last year, compared to just going into last year, I just kind of knew I needed to play with a chip. But that hasn't been any different from any other year. I've always had that. I think with that mixed in with a little opportunity and mixed in with a little bit of confidence and honestly the right timing, things always work out. So I was just, I was never pressing. I was never, focusing on what I needed to do to make sure that I'm going to be well off. I always knew that I was going to put myself in the best position to be successful. And so when it came to just playing basketball, that's all I was thinking about, just playing basketball, nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple of guys on here, Lazarus Sims and John Wallace, and they spoke about your father.
Yep.
The AAU days. It was really interesting to hear about. Talk about growing up in that environment with a dad who's not only accomplished, but accomplished professional athlete too.
Yeah. Growing up with him is it was tough because he was a journeyman in the NBA. And so for most of that time, my mother and I and my sister, we all were in New Jersey, living in New Jersey at the time, for the most part. Went to see dad on big holidays. When he was close by on the East Coast, we go to his games. We were always around. And so just knowing that how my dad got to where he was and to see how hard he worked just to be on about 9 unguaranteed contracts with 8 different teams, I knew I had to work twice as harder just to be relevant. And so he instilled that in me. I got to see that at a young age. And so having him in my back pocket was kind of, he would always just say, I have the answers to the test. Are you gonna use me as a guide, or are you just gonna sit there? And so I use him as a guide, and he got me to this point. Obviously, the help of other coaches that I had and played for, but I mean, he was the focal point of all of that, and so I owe him everything.
Did you feel a lot of pressure though with that shadow? Was it like, oh, you're going to be like your dad? Are you going to be as good as your dad? Or did that motivate you? How did that work? Because I know it goes 2 ways, you know?
Yeah, I didn't really feel pressure about trying to make it or anything like that with my dad. I just knew that I love the game of basketball. And so my parents made me feel comfortable knowing that no matter what happened, whatever I did, as long as I did it to 110%, they were going to be proud of me in anything. So I never really felt that pressure, but I knew that I knew I had to work hard. I knew I had to do things that I didn't want to do in order to make the sacrifice to get to where I am. And so my parents always gave me the options. They always said, Jalen, like, if this is what you want to do, you're gonna have to do this and this and this. And when it came to basketball, they gave me 3 options. It was school, basketball, and like your social life. And I had to pick 2 of them. And so it was basically school and basketball, and it's my friends and everything else came after that. And
you learned that early. Some people don't learn that in college.
At all. Some people don't learn that.
I learned that.
Good point.
I learned that really early.
So now I'm sure you played for your father in the past when you were a kid growing up. I'm sure never. This is the first time you're going to be on the same team with your dad.
First time.
Wow. Have you guys talked about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it would be
be weird if you didn't.
Dumb not to.
Yeah, right.
We talked about it, and I just knowing how my dad is, he's always going to push me. He's always going to make sure that I'm going to be the best player I can be. But it's not the same father-son. It's not the same coach-player relationship when I was younger. Right. When he was pushing me to get to where I am now, he would like yell, he would like push me, he would just basically motivate me. Like now, it's different. Like we watch film. We watch film like in high school and stuff in college, but like even the past couple of years, like we'll watch film, we'll talk things out. He treats me like a grown man, which is, and when I think about my dad, I'm like, all right, like after a game, I know I didn't do the things I was supposed to do or play hard enough. I'm just like, damn, my dad's with us, just rip me a new one. But he was like, yo, like this is what you have to do in order to be the player that you want to be. And right. You tell me you want to be this type of player. And so he kind of guilt trips me into it. And so it's different now. But our relationship is always evolving, is always changing. But it's always the same. It's just the way we go about handling things is different.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you never think of now you're at the level that you're at, in the NBA, and you get to play with your, for your dad. So I think that's pretty cool. You get to do that. I'm sure there's been some rivalry stuff in the past. He's a Temple guy. He's a Temple out, as is your mom, right? They both went to Temple, but they really couldn't say much because you pretty much beat up Temple for 3 years, right?
Yeah, whenever I'm around someone from the Big Five, I have a lot of friends and family around the Big Five. So
I'm sure you do.
All I say is I've never lost a Big Five game. That's all I say. Never lost a Big Five game. But
that's pretty much a final statement. There's not much you got to talk about.
Not much to say. I let them get everything out first. I'm like, all right, well, this is going to end the argument right here. Yeah. But
are you done? Are you done? Okay, here we go.
I think me and my father and I, we definitely have a rivalry. We're so competitive. I joke like all the time, like when I get the chance publicly, like, I'm going to joke about me being better than him or things like that. But I think for me and him, like we know how our relationship is, and now people may think it's like weird and they would never do it with their parents or whatever. It's just you don't know me and my dad.
Right.
We don't, and that I mean, we have the same mindset. We don't really care what you think either. It's just it's about what's gonna make me better, what's gonna make him better, and how are we going to improve together.
Yeah, that's all. I'm so glad that you had a chance. You have a chance now coming up to do that because I know your dad, as you know. I mean, he's always great to us. He's the first guy to come over and say hello and talks to everybody. Your mom too. I mean, fantastic. And all the guys, parents on that 18 and 16 team, they all all come from great stock like that. So that's not by accident, you know. So let's go back into like high school and you were being recruited and stuff, Jaylen. So I remember meeting you. We had a golf outing in Jersey somewhere, and it was you had just gotten back. You played on the U19 team, the 19 and under team, right? The USA team. You represented the country, came back with the MVP, and there was a lot of talk about this kid Brunson coming in, and everybody's all like, "What's going on with this kid? What's going on?" So you come in with all these accolades and all this high regard. And then, you get on a team where you don't just walk right on the court and take over the team. It took time. Talk about that. And, like with kids today, everybody wants to go to a school and they're going to play or I'm going to transfer out. And there's a learning process that goes with that. Right, Jaylen?
1000%. There's definitely a learning process. I think with like my recruitment and everything like that, Coach Wright didn't promise me anything on my visit, never promised me anything, starting, playing, things like that. I mean, I knew I would play.
Yeah.
But he never promised anything. And so, like when we had that conversation, I kind of like, I saw it, I looked at him, and it reminded me of like how my dad kind of coached me, like nothing's ever going to be given to you. Like nothing should be given to you. You should want to work for it. And that's how my parents raised me. So when the coach was talking to me like that and kind of getting his point across, it really resonated with me and saying this is a place where I can thrive. One, because of the culture. Two, because of the guys in that locker room. When I saw them, how they interacted, how they were so close, this is something I can see myself being a part of for not just these next couple of years, but forever. And so coming on the campus, I mean, I actually think I won the preseason tournament. I think I had MVP of the preseason tournament my freshman year. And then things kind of started to dial back a little bit because like things needed to be done, I guess, for me and for others, for us to be the best team we can be. And so I had to take a step back and kind of learn the ways of Villanova basketball. And which I thought I did, which I thought I was, but I mean, there's always a method to coach's madness. And so I'm not going to question anything. But I had to be patient. And I knew I had to be patient. I knew this was a team that had a chance to win a national championship when I was being recruited. Other teams were definitely had a chance, but this is the team I gelled with the most. And so coming here and doing that, like going through all the ups and downs of freshman year, of thinking that should I be here, should I not, all that. It takes a toll on you, but the mentally strong fit in with Villanova basketball, and you know what that's like, and you know how, like, if it's not for you, coach is okay with it. He's going to help you find the place for you. But I knew that place was for me. I knew I needed to tough it out, and it definitely worked in my favor.
No, I think you've had some challenges too. I mean, it seems like it's a very popular opinion to say he's too short, he's undersized, he's going to struggle at the next level, right? It's always like, oh no, it's at the next level. You've heard that, I'm sure. How does that either help you develop, like you talked about having the chip? How does that motivate you to say that's not going to be me, or I'm going to do this? Is that an extra little log on the fire or not?
Always. And it's been happening for as long as I can remember. So every step of my basketball career has had that. I remember I saw a post a long time ago about every time Jaylen is talked about in the media, there's always a but after it. Like Jaylen Brunson is good, but he can do this, but they're always going to say something negative. And I mean, it is what it is. Like it's people are going to say whatever they want to say, but time after time, I prove they're wrong.
But at some point, somebody has to say, "Are we done with this now? Are we? Can we finally admit this is a solid NBA player?" Like, do you feel that at all?
What person is going to admit that in the media?
Well,
anybody with a brain.
If you can find.
Well, you're talking to two media people, Jalen. You know that, right?
Yeah, we're serious media guys.
If you can find someone that's on a talk show that's on every single day, that's gonna basically say, "All right, I was wrong. I can do this about me." I love to hear it. Yeah. I'll just say that. I love to hear it.
I will say this. I'm glad you don't, because it's driven you to become obviously the player you are, and it will continue. I was just curious because it just seems like you're right. There's always like there's an asterisk. Jaylen Brunson. Oh yeah. Undersized. Yeah. Oh yeah. This, like you see a scouting report. Oh yeah, this. But bottom line is you get it done. So talk about like how that just, you said it drives you, but it obviously, does it irk you?
Of course. Of course it does. I think it irks my parents more than it irks me. I take it, and whenever I hear things like that, I'm just like, all right, there's another one. And then like, I think my parents would see that and they would like annoy them a little bit, but they won't say anything. But I can tell things like that can annoy them. But we always find a way to just prove people wrong. And then once we prove people wrong, we just nod our head and keep it moving and wait for the next one.
All these things speak to your character.
Total class.
Yeah,
it's total class. Exactly.
Yeah, I want to get back to, you come in as a freshman and now Arch is on the team. So we talk about the older guys teach the younger guys, and it goes on and on. You taught Colin, guys taught you, Arch worked with you. Talk about that relationship. And did he make it any easier for you? Because it had a sting a little bit. I mean, you wouldn't be human if it didn't bother you, that you maybe weren't getting the time you thought you were going to get, and now it worked out fantastic in the end. I mean, but talk about that relationship with Arch and what he did to help you get through all the learning curve that there is there at Villanova.
Arch is probably one of the best teammates I ever played with, just because of the things that he was able to do as a leader. Basketball player, obviously, he's very exceptional. He's basically Arch. Like this, when you hear Ryan Archdiak, I know you just think of Villanova great, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But the things that he used to talk to me about, it was never really X's and O's. It was never really about the things I needed to do to be better. It was just the relationship we had. And like he didn't really treat me like a little brother. He didn't really treat me as like a freshman. He treated me like a grown man. He treated me like a teammate. He treated me like someone that was just a little bit behind him when it came to Villanova basketball. And so watching him do it, it wasn't really him like holding my hand and walking me through it. He was just saying, "This is how it's done, and I know you're going to get to this level." And the same thing when I did with Colin. It wasn't me basically like holding his hand and walking him through this entire situation. It was him watching and learning, and then basically like kind of it's like an understanding. Like, say we don't need to talk about it. It's just, if you're gonna buy into this, if you want to be a part of this, this is automatically gonna flow like through you, and you're gonna understand it within the year. And so that's how it was. And I mean, I just, like you said, it did sting a little bit because obviously, like, as a player, you want to be in the best position for you. That's why you see all these kids transferring every single second, the chance they get. They want to be in the best position for them. But at some point, if you want to actually win something, you're going to have to sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely right. And listen, you have to go through some adversity. in order to be great. I mean, I believe that, wholeheartedly. I mean, granted, there's different types of adversity. Colin's going through it right now with another injury after he had the first one, and I'm sure he'll come out because his character is very strong, and like the rest of you guys, and that's the kind of people that coach had picked to get on the team. That's the kind of guys he recruited. So
Right.
it speaks a lot. It speaks a lot to the character of you guys, which is why you guys were so likable for our 85 team. I mean, when we come around and everybody comes over and says hello and it's all genuine. I know that wasn't all Jay, I mean, we come in and everybody says hi and we're all talking, and it's great to feel that from the guys, that the current guys, and it's great that, the guys, maybe the guy that, was the 7th or 8th man or the 10th man, it didn't get as much run as the starters. You treat that guy the same, and that's all part of the culture over there. Talk about the culture a little bit at Villanova that Jay instilled there.
It's unmatched and it's genuine.
I agree
it's
with both of
a
those.
genuine culture. It is not forced. It is not publicized by us.
Mm-hmm.
It is completely genuine. And when you come back to Summer Jam, when we're always around, when you see somebody that it's not even, you can even extend outside the basketball family. It's a genuine family. Like the entire, when someone walks by, it says, Jalen, class of 96, class of 2000, whatever. I stand up, I shake their hand, I talk to them for a little bit. It's just like, it's just how it is. And obviously when you get to the basketball part, it's closer, but it's a genuine family that that bond can never be broken because it's not forced ever.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about the responsibility now that then rests on your shoulder at Villanova. You talked about we'll call it the passing of the torch onto the next generation, let's say. But what were some of the responsibilities that you had as the team leader? And let's talk just on the floor, because I know people marvel at the way the offense runs and the simplicity, but the beauty of it. But the defense is really underappreciated. And I know it's got a lot of involvement, but let's talk a little bit about what you had to do for both of those aspects of the team.
Everything. The responsibility, I was responsible for everything. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. If somehow, some way, if someone on the complete opposite side of the court did something, I was gonna yell that. At some point, it was my fault. But the reason
so
why
you didn't take that as a personal attack on you. That was something to tell you you got to be the coach out there, right?
Yeah, it was. I never took it personal. That's something I learned from my dad when I was younger. No one I'm being your father, and no one I'm being your coach. And so whenever my dad was being my coach, I never really took it personal. And so when it came to Coach Wright or any of my coaches I grew up playing for, it made it easier to be coached by them because I knew that it wasn't personal. And so my coach would always yell at me, basically telling me I gotta be the leader. Even freshman year, he was saying that I gotta lead, and I don't need the title as captain to lead. But I was a born leader, and I was taught to be a leader through my parents. So when it came to like the offense, the defense, obviously a lot of things offensively rested on me, to put everyone in the right positions to be successful. And obviously, the 2018 was a juggernaut. That 2018 team, we could score at whenever, however, against whoever. That's just how we were. I mean, defensively, we probably weren't as good defensively as 2016 was, because our offense is so dominant that I guess Coach Wright hated about us sometimes, that we could get away with it because we were so offensively dominant, and so we can get away with it. But he would find ways to push us. He would find ways to make us better. He would find ways to make sure that I had everyone on the right page, and that's just how it was. And then if I didn't, if someone was on the right page when we're up 30 against somebody, it was my fault somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm. So talk about that portion of it. Now, I would assume that you had a lot of conversations with Jay, and Chuck talks a lot about the Rolly conversations, which usually is over a bowl of pasta. So what were those conversations like with Coach Wright? They had to come frequently. They had to come often. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so me and Coach, we talked a lot. I'll go in his office, we would talk. I think the best thing about Coach Wright, the thing that I admired the most about him, is that everything wasn't always basketball. We could talk about anything, and that kind of made our relationship better, and it made us trust each other a little bit more, because we kind of knew what was going on outside of our lives, outside of the court. So, and it wasn't necessarily like things that needed to be like I need to vent about. We would just catch up, just talk about things. But whenever we talked, he always just made sure that I was on the same page with him. We would talk and may not agree about certain things, but that was a rarity. But when we did talk, he was just basically, I was just like, yes, coach, whatever you need, yes, yes, yes. And then he would trust me now to the point where if some things that he wanted didn't happen, he would be okay with it, because we had that trust factor. It's like, all right, like that didn't happen at one time, but we're going to get back to that. Like, we're not going to just slack off because that worked at one time. We're going to get back to how we know how to play and how we know how to do things.
Yeah.
And so those conversations happen frequently. They happen during practice, happen after practice. It was always in person. Like, we rarely talked on the phone unless we really needed to. We talked in person a lot, which I think is so much better, because you can just see, you can see that, like, how
underappreciated
things actually, things out. You can see actually things are folding out. Like on the phone, you may not, the message may not get across as well, but like when we talked in person, message got across, got received, and we were always on the same page.
Yeah, if he needs to give you a message during the game, he needs to know I can communicate. He can give me that face. I can look that face off. I 1000% agree. I think it's a lost skill nowadays, that face-to-face communication. So I'm really glad to hear that. Chuck, you got next?
Yeah, Gary had that relationship with Coach Mass too during games. You could see he would go over and put his arm around him, and they would have a conversation. Gary would run back on the court and enact whatever Coach Mass wanted to have done. So it's important. And you guys are the floor generals. I'm talking to two of them right now. So I totally.
So let's reestablish again. Point guard first. Nova second.
Jay, this goes on all the time with the point guard. He's a 6'5" point guard, Jalen. So just not tall enough. But anyway, so so let's get into the 16 team first before we go to 18. Okay, the 16 team for us was a lot of fun because nobody had done that in 31 years when you guys won that first one. And in the way that you won with Chris knocking that shot down was unbelievable. And I got to tell you, like I've said this before, I couldn't believe it. People were coming up to us and saying, hey, do you really want them to win? Because like, you're the only ones that ever. I said, are you crazy? More than we wanted to win, we wanted you guys to win. Mm-hmm. Talk about that team for a minute. And before you do, like, people don't understand, Sonny, like there's a blue team and a white team in practice. Okay. The white team on that 2016 team had 4 future pros on it, which helped. That was your job to push the starters, the blue team. Am I right?
White team used to kick our ass.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Kick our ass.
You had who was that? You had Dante, because he redshirted.
Dante was
that's your guy. I know that, right? Dante and Michelle.
He was Buddy Hield. He was Buddy Hield for when we played Oklahoma in the Final Four. We practiced with Dante being Buddy Hield, and we were just like, I was like, there's no way we're winning this game the way Dante's carving us up right now. Like it was, but he prepared us. Like when Coach said Dante prepared us, I mean he truly prepared us. That team was honestly, it was definitely different from 18. Like I have more of a alliance with 18 because I was the captain, the leader, and when you can lead that, that's special. But 16, like no one really believed that we should have even been there. No one believed when people said like before the game, like Carolina has all the pros, like Villanova, it's just they didn't really have any NBA players. That team, pretty sure has one or two pros in the NBA right now. That team, the Carolina team. So we have
like seven
since
or
2016, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So it's always that team was always doubted. And so the fact that we won that made it so special. And the way we won it, obviously, the greatest shot in college basketball history.
Another reason for a little chip, right?
Always. There's always chips. There's always chips.
Find the reason, Sonny. You know.
You gotta put a little bowl up here to just fill it with chips.
So that team kind of reminded us of us a little bit with how close they were. Talk about that for a minute, because that's not always easy to do when you're with the same guys. And I know you were sequestered in Houston and again in San Antonio. You guys didn't see the light of day when you were out there, and you're with these guys 24/7, man. I know that can get rough. How did you guys keep it light and still remain friends at the end of the day?
I don't know. We were, I don't know.
That's an honest answer.
We were we were a really close team. And I don't know how. We just genuinely liked each other.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, I don't know how we did that, but we genuinely liked each other. We knew that we all knew what we were capable of, and so and we were all at one point all doubted with our careers, all of us. So that kind of brought us together as well. And so we loved playing for each other, and obviously the more we kept winning, the more we just kept believing.
Yeah.
Was there any experiences that you remember that kind of stand out, either at the Final Four or one of those games, or maybe something goofy one of your teammates tried to do?
I don't even know.
We had the chef on. The chef was talking.
Chef went on and talked about going in and getting caught in the convenience store trying to buy chips and everything with Chris and coach walked in.
I was trying to give you a nice little lob.
He tried to lob it up, there, but
I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that.
Chef spilled the beans on that, man.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget. Like one time we got snowed in our freshman year against Providence. We played Providence at the Wells Fargo Center. We lost that game, but we got snowed in. The game got canceled, so we had to play the next day. And so I guess we still had practice. And so we had practice like really early because I think the Sixers may have been playing or something like that. But I don't know. That we had to basically get there really, really early. So practice was at like 6 or 7 in the morning. And so we get up, we go to like the meal room or our meeting room, and there wasn't really like breakfast food there.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna throw this player under the bus, but one of our upperclassmen was really heated that there were no like eggs or food for us to eat before practice, and so we kind of got in a little bit of a shouting match before the game, or not before practice. Now with the coaches and this specific player, and let's just say that was the start of the avalanche for that weekend because we did not play well against Providence and got our asses kicked at home. So, I remember that like it was yesterday because it was early as hell. Like I'm hearing this commotion all over there and a couple tables down. I'm just like, it's too early for this. I'm not paying attention to this. It was too early. And then I got a couple of those stories. Like we had some things that brought us together really, really close.
Yeah. And then when you look at that team in 16 versus 18, you said it before. I mean, the 18 team was just dominant. I mean, you ran through the tournament. I don't think anybody came within 12 points of you, right? I mean,
nope.
That was
11 games. The last 11 games we won by all double digits.
Yeah, you just got on a roll, and it was like a tremendous momentum that you were carrying in through the Big East and into the tournament.
Mhm.
I mean, it was impressive to watch. I tell you what, it was really impressive, and it was the two teams were similar in a lot of ways, but again, they're different in a lot of ways because Eric really stepped up against Kansas. I mean, I had a conversation with his dad, and I said, because his dad was kind of like, I don't know. I said, I'm telling you, when we need him the most, you're going to see this kid rise to the occasion, and he did. He had a hell of a game.
And he did.
He did. And Tay also. I mean, in that last game, that was a display.
Incredible.
I mean,
Incredible.
talk about that for a second. Talk about Dante, your buddy.
Yeah. What he did in that game was wasn't that surprising to any of us. We knew what he was capable of. He did it earlier in the season when people were out. That team had guys, numerous people on that team could go off at any single point. And then once that person got hot, it was like, all right, feed him, let him go. It was like an unspoken thing with us. Like we just said, all right, it's him today. Like, that's how the team was. And we kind of all found a way to kind of like buy into that because we knew that like it was all going to help us in the end eventually. And
Right.
so when it came to like game time and when it came to guys, it's all of a sudden just knocking down shot after shot after shot. Like, all right, well, this is now game plan is switching. This is our game plan. Let's find them. And so that's just how it was. And then we would have games where it would be so evenly like spread out because we all like if one person helps, we're finding that person. Now no one could help off of us because we had 5 shooters on the court at all times basically.
Yeah.
And so we were racing playing ISO basketball with teams because they didn't want to help because they knew that we were going to knock down threes. And we had 5 players that could ISO at any given point and go score. And so that team, like offensively, was just unheard of. Like practices were just like
Ridiculous. Yeah.
ridiculous. So when game time came around, we were just like, all right, like we know what we're capable of. Let's get it going.
You know what was beautiful to watch too, as a basketball fan and player, is the ball movement that you guys. It was unbelievable. You always found one more pass and you got an open guy, and you guys always made the extra pass, kind of like what the Warriors are doing now in the NBA a little bit, right?
Yeah, we always preach like extra pass. We always preach about just finding the best shot. Now you may have a good shot, but you can have a great shot. And so, but we knew when teams kind of started scouting us and they started jumping on passing lanes. If teams don't jump on passing lanes, we're going to be aggressive. So it wasn't always like we had to make the extra pass. Like if it was there, yes, but play basketball. Coach always just said, just play. You have our tools, you have our habits, but just play basketball. And so he had that confidence in us, and he had that trust in us that like we knew we were always, I'll say 95% of the time, we're going to make the right play.
So let's jump ahead a little bit now, Jalen. Okay, so you come out of that season a 2-time champ. You come out of that, after 18, and you win virtually every award there is to win as far as being an MVP and stuff. And now the draft is coming. So what's the talk? Did you expect to go in the second round and when you went, or were you expecting to go earlier? What was the talk amongst the people that were talking to you?
I was told, like projection wise, it was probably late first, early second, maybe as high as a mid to late first.
Yeah.
But that was around my area. I'll never forget, like my dad that morning, he kind of like said to me like early, it was like Dallas at 33. I kind of was just like, what? Like, I was like, okay, whatever. And then with 33, that's where it went.
Wow.
That is where it went. Yeah.
Wow. So you show up in Dallas, you're playing for Mark Cuban. Talk about your relationship with that guy. That guy seems like a lot of fun. I went to the All-Star game and got to hang with him for a little bit one night. He probably doesn't remember it, but he was buying rounds for everybody. I know that. So talk about your relationship with Mark.
Mark is great. Mark is an owner on a team where I got to see Mark at almost every game. He was always in the practice facility. He was always around. You don't see that from a lot of owners. You don't see that at all. And so seeing him there, seeing how invested he was really cool to see. And seeing like his routine, like he would shoot before games.
Yeah.
He was very routine oriented. So just seeing how he was wired in his makeup and how competitive he was, it was really special to see. And I mean, they kind of just like his energy fed off to the fans, to the organization, to everyone. Like the energy just fed off, and so he's definitely up there for one of the best people in the NBA.
He treats his guys well too. I know, listen, you're not going to think much of this, but as somebody with my size, these guys got all big chairs and comfortable chairs to sit in. That's like a huge deal for somebody 7 feet tall, man. I mean,
So I remember we had them one time, and then the people who sit behind us, like one of those first 2 rows, I guess, complained, and so we had to take them away. We had to take them away, but yeah, I mean, Mark, he's always done right by his players, and so he helped me become the player I am by drafting me and getting me to this position. So a lot of respect and a lot of credit goes to him.
Yeah.
And you went into a very stable franchise, right? Rick Carlisle was the head coach, right?
Another good guy.
And he had been there for how long? Because Rick and I know each other fairly well because he was from upstate New York. We spent a lot of time together at Syracuse. Before he left Maine, Syracuse was on the radar, and then of course he went to Virginia. But he's just a great guy. So that had to be welcoming to go to a stable franchise where they've had a coach, like going to Villanova, stable coach, stable franchise. Talk a little bit about either the similarities or the differences from Villanova to the Dallas Mavericks organization.
I'll be really honest with you. College and the pros, there's very few similarities, very few. Just the makeup of everything. Like, I think the biggest takeaway I got from the college and pros is all these pros have like families. After practices, everyone goes home to their families. And I'm so used to after practice, you hang out with your teammates basically for the rest of your day. You guys go back to your dorms or your apartments, and that's what I'm used to. So the similarities, obviously, with the basketball part, just everything, but it wasn't that similar.
Right. Gotcha.
The pros are just totally different. I can't kind of name that one thing that makes it different. Just the overall everything it's just different.
So now you're there, and you go and like Chuck alluded to earlier, the playoff run. What led up? What in leading up to that said to you, or that you knew, like, I'm ready? Luka goes down, because the whole world was like, okay, count the Mavericks out. Again, right? Doubting Jaylen Brunson. You should never do that. If anything, don't do that. Bet on black, baby. So what was the feeling that you had going into that situation?
Yeah, I was ready to go. I wasn't really like nervous. I knew the opportunity was there. The question was, what was I going to do with it? And so I prepared myself. I've been preparing myself my entire life for, I guess, like moments like these. And so
that's key right there. That's perfect. You were preparing yourself for moments like this your whole life. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's always like you never, like someone, I always remember just hearing the phrase, like, you never have to get ready if you stay ready. And so I've always, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the role is on the team, my mindset is always the same, is do whatever it takes to win. And so it wasn't really like obviously we wanted him there. Luka's probably, not probably, he's top 5 players in the league. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer. Like he's that guy. So he goes down, and everyone in the locker room, we were just like, all right, let's go. We're ready to go. everyone knew that we had to step up. It wasn't just me; it was everybody. It was collectively, and we bought into that. And so, obviously, we spared him some time for him to come back, and the rest is history. And obviously, we make it all the way down to the Western Conference Finals. And I think I loved playing for Coach Carlisle. Like, he X's and O's wise. Like, he's one of the best coaches, obviously, in NBA history. But playing for Jay Kidd and a coach that played my position, he's a Hall of Fame coach, a Hall of Fame player. Sharing his experiences with me about how he played the game, how he was talking to teammates, how he led, and everything. He was always in my ear all year, and so the relationship we had definitely helped my game grow because I got to understand more about the game, especially from his point of view. And so when it came to that time where Luka went down, unfortunately, he was as calm as can be as well. And so that gave us a lot of confidence as a team, and we were ready to go.
Yep. So now you go through this whole free agency thing. Was that kind of chaos for you when that whole thing started to come around? And it's like getting recruited again, I would imagine, from like you got recruited for college, right? Similar.
It was crazy because of how public it got. There was always rumors and things being said, and I mean, people always read the headline and believe it from the jump. And so, I mean, for me, that was the one thing I probably hated the most about free agency is just how crazy it can get and how things can start with just a click of a button. And so, I mean, it is what it is. And once you click send, everyone sees it. So, I mean,
especially now in New York. Now you're in the epicenter of the media. I mean, and if you, God forbid, you have a bad game, that you're gonna hear about it on the street, going to your apartment or going to Starbucks or whatever you do. You're gonna, I just saw the thing on the captain on Derek Jeter, and that's what he talks about is people. He's going to Starbucks, and the guy's going, "What the hell happened against the Red Sox last night?" And that's how New York people are. That's how the fans are. You ready for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready for that. I
could have answered that for him. I could have told you.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew the answer. It was loaded question.
If I had to take everything into account, if I wasn't ready for that, then I wouldn't have made the decision I made. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's just not. It's obviously that's everywhere. New York is definitely going to be magnified, but that talk is everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's going to be an opportunity. It's going to be fun. It's going to be definitely going to be challenging, but it's something that I've never backed down from a challenge. I've never quit on anything, and so I'm just going to be me.
I tell you what's cool about the whole thing, Jalen, from my perspective, is there's a buzz now that has not been around the Knicks in a long time. Sonny, I'll tell you, Sonny's a big Knicks fan. He watches all the games, but there's a buzz now about town, that maybe the Knicks are turning the corner and they're headed in a positive direction. I hope so for you. I think, having you closer to as from a selfish point of view, having you closer, it's great. I get to see you play every game. I didn't get to see you play every game in Dallas, so that's going to be a lot of fun for Villanova fans for sure. You also had some relationships there. It was kind of like a homecoming for you, right? You knew folks in the Knicks organization, right?
Oh yeah, I've known my dad and Coach Thibodeau go back to when my dad was in high school. So Tibbs went to Salem State. My dad went to Salem High School in Massachusetts. That's where they met. My dad coached with him in Chicago, which is why I went to high school in Chicago.
Right.
My dad also coached with him with Minnesota while I was at Villanova. And so my dad's been with Tibbs' staff for a while. So he knows the ins and outs of that. Leon Rose, the president, was his first client ever as a agent was my father. And so I've known their family since I can ever remember. I think Leon may have saw me as a child before my dad actually saw me as a child. Leon was actually my agent for my first 2 years of of being in the NBA. Leon is my agent.
Right.
His son now is taking over that role. Him and Aaron Mintz, people at CAA, basically best friends with his daughter. I've known them. Leon's wife is like a mother to me. I can go on and on. I mean, William Wesley, a person I've known since the same way I've known Leon. I've just known them since the relationships with my dad. And obviously Derek being there, Derek Rose. I got to see him when he was in Chicago with Tibbs and my dad. I can go on and on. It's an ever going circle. Like there's always something.
So it sounds like a perfect fit, Jay. I mean, wish you the best of luck.
Maybe the most loaded left-handed lineup ever.
Yeah,
maybe. You might be right.
Definitely.
We bring in Willis Reed. It's no contest. That's all.
That's right.
Willis.
That's right.
Yeah.
So last question, Jalen, we'll let you go. I know we're up against it. We took a lot of your time, and we appreciate you coming out. I know you talk to kids, and you had your own camps and things like that. And I know you go back to Villanova every year and you do your camps. What's something that you tell a youngster who is coming up and is wants to get involved with this game that we all love called basketball? What's the advice that you give a kid that wants to be successful in the game of basketball?
I kind of tell them the things that I've kind of gone through. Maybe not everything, but basically like the outline.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how tall, how big, how fast, how strong you are, how athletic you are, how high you can jump, how good you can shoot, all the attributes, whatever. At your age, now you can obviously be better skill wise as you continue to work on it as you grow older. But don't be discouraged when you're not the best one when you're 12. The best kids in the country when they're 12, that's the only time you hear about them is when they're 12.
That's right.
You don't hear about them when they get older. There's very few exceptions. Just don't be discouraged. When I do my camps, I just don't be discouraged when someone next to you may be faster and maybe scoring more than you or anything like that. You can always work on your game, right? You can't say, oh, I'm not tall enough or I'm not this enough. Like, there's so many players that are just in the NBA or who have played in the NBA who may not be, like average height or tall enough or big enough, like myself, people say about, but it's like what you do on the court that really separates yourself from everyone else. Like what can you do that makes you unique and makes you better than everyone else? How can you separate yourself? And so those are the kinds of traits I try and instill in these kids when they come to camp. So when I talk to them, it's just because there's so much negative energy around like young kids. Like if you're not the best at that age, it's like, all right, so like why am I going to do this if I'm not that good? Like no, like you're supposed to work on your game, like work to get to a certain level. Mm-hmm. Right? And anything you do, it doesn't have to be basketball. It could be anything. So like why? Like don't be discouraged. Like things never go as planned the way you think they are. Always continue to go through knowing that things are not going to go as planned. And then once obviously things go off track, then you find a way to honestly get it back on track. Like it's just I always kind of give them metaphors and things like that to kind of make them feel like they don't have to be like a LeBron James. LeBron is a freak of nature. He's also skilled. He's also worked in this game. He's also improved every year to this year until year 21, whatever this is for him, 20, whatever it is. He's improved. So if a player like that who has a type of athleticism and does that and has the grind of players that don't have that type of athleticism and that gift, like why can't you? Like all it takes is a mindset. That's all it takes. And that's what I try and talk to kids about.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, with that answer, what a perfect way to wrap this up. You are definitely wise, way beyond your years. Your wisdom is
right.
way beyond your ears.
Well, he's a point guard, Chuck. He's a point guard.
Well, listen, all that said, he's got tremendous character, and that's why he's a two-time champ, Sonny. Okay, just letting you know. So,
hey, lean back, show that shirt again. Jalen, lean back. Let's see that shirt again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sweatshirt.
We're back, baby. We're back.
There you go. That's great. So, Jalen, thanks again. Thanks so much for joining us and hanging with us for a little bit. We appreciate you, and best of luck this season. I can't wait to put on MSG and check you out, every night when you guys are playing. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So, all right, appreciate you coming out.
Appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jalen. We got to get to a game, Chuck. We got to get to a game.
Oh yeah.
You've been listening and watching the Big East Rewind with Sonny Spera and Chuck Everson. The Big East Rewind was produced and directed by Nick Chico Chorus and Daryl Gurney. You can check us out on all things social media by putting in Big East Rewind. Go on YouTube and put in Big East Rewind, and you'll see all of our videos come up. We just ask that you like, subscribe, and share it with all your friends. Thanks a lot for having us, and have a great night.